Hello everybody, how's it going? We just got our first look at Halo Infinite's campaign gameplay, and there is a lot to unpack. I have to admit that when I first watched it live, it left me feeling a little bit underwhelmed, and I think that's how a lot of the community is feeling about it right now, or at least from what I've seen. So I went back, I rewatched it, and I have to say that I got a better feeling about the game almost instantly. There are definitely some things in the game that can be criticized from what we've seen, but I don't think any of those are going to ruin Halo, so to speak. So, with our first look out of the way, I am going to try my best to break down the gameplay and what we saw, and share a few of my opinions along the way. Also, just a heads up, this is my first breakdown video like this, so please try to take it easy on me. And I'm also going to be covering the gameplay itself, not any of the beginning or ending cutscenes that we saw. I'm going to be making a video on that later on, so without any further ado, let's jump right into it. First things first, right when we step out of the Pelican, we get to look around at the world around us, and it looks absolutely stunning. There are birds chirping, animals running around on the ground, and it just brings me back to Halo Combat Evolved. Next we can hear some grunts talking in the distance, Chief turns to the right, and then we get to hear the sound of Halo Infinite's assault rifle. It's a little bit different than what we've come to expect from Halo. I think it's a little bit quieter, it doesn't sound like it packs as big of a punch, but overall, not too much to complain about there. As we move along, we can see the wreckage from a UNSC ship on the ground, and then what appears to be a banished Phantom fly overhead. It has a bit of a new look to it, but overall the design looks pretty similar to what we've come to expect from Halo. We then see Chief start sprinting towards a Warthog. That's right, Sprint is back in Halo Infinite, which is something that a lot of fans didn't want to see make a return. But personally, I don't really have that big of a deal with it. It's just something that we're going to have to come along and expect to see moving forward with Halo games. As for the Warthog itself, you can see the gas canisters on the back again, so we're sticking with the Halo 4 and Halo 5 design of the Warthog. As far as the sound goes, it sounds a lot more powerful than what we've heard in past games, and to me almost resembles the Halo Reach Warthog sound the closest. Then as our Warthog comes to a stop at the top of this hill, we see that we have a TAC map. There are a few things to point out here. First, the most obvious is that it's showing current objectives and where we need to go, which is pretty new. Also, something to point out is that when the cursor hovered over one of the gun batteries, on the lower left-hand side of the screen you can see where it says press X to start mission. To me, this reinforces the idea that the campaign is going to be more open world, and that the player is going to be able to choose where they want to go first, instead of having to follow this linear playstyle that we've gotten in the past from 343, which I'm pretty excited about. It also gives you a small description and what you need to do on the top left. We can also see that this demo is being played on normal difficulty. Nothing groundbreaking there, just felt like I should point that out. Moving along, Chief takes the Warthog off a nice little jump. And then we start to get into our first real combat. We can see Jackals, Grunts, and Elites all fighting alongside each other, and we even get to see a new weapon, the VK-78 Commando. And below it we have a small description of the weapon that says, Tactical Rifle, Kinetic, Auto. When the gun is being fired, I can't really tell if it's ADS being used, but if I had to say so right now, it looks more like the classic scope and not an ADS system. I also get DMR vibes from this new weapon, just fully automatic instead of semi-automatic. We then get our first look at the brutes that get dropped in by what look like ODST pods but with a banished twist on them. They also self-destruct after the brutes leave them if you look in the background, which is something new. We also get a new look at some equipment items, the drop wall, which is reminiscent of the bubble shield from Halo 3, and then you can also see right there that it looks like spike grenades are back. Also, as a note, you can pick up fusion coils now, which we're going to see later on. We then get to see the drop wall being used, which looks like a one-way wall with players being able to shoot through it without enemies being able to return fire. And then right away we get to see the grappler being used to attach to enemies, which I'm not really sure how I feel about it. It doesn't really feel like Halo to me, but I'm going to wait to see how I feel about it when the game actually comes out. It also looks like jetpack brutes are making a return, and we see another new weapon called the Ravager, with the weapon description being Launcher, Plasma, Burst. Moving on, we activate the lift, and as we ascend, we get to see the scale of the world. And let me just say, it looks like we are getting what we asked for in terms of open world. And again, it just looks absolutely stunning to me. And the music, the music is definitely Halo. We get into some more combat as we reach the top of the lift, and if you look to the right of your screen, you can see a grunt gets thrown into the air towards Chief, which, that poor grunt. We can also see Clamber right there, so it looks like that's going to be making a return into Infinite. Another new gun, the Pulse Carbine, but this time there's no description of it. I also want to say that the gameplay looks really good and it feels like it will play good. It's kind of like Combat Evolved, but with a more modern take on it. Right here we get another new weapon, the Mangler, which looks like a redesign of the Mauler from Halo 3. Right here it looks like Chief scans the area, and we also get an update of the objectives in the upper left-hand corner. This could be Infinite's take on the Artemis tracking system that was in Halo 5. If I had to take a guess, that's what I would put my money on. And then we get to see the Grappler in action for the first time. Now, I'm going to leave this up for you all to decide how you feel about it. Personally, I have mixed feelings about it. I can see why a lot of people don't like it. I can see why some people would like it. But so far, it looks like it's just there to help traverse the landscape. And if that's the case, I'm fine with it. It also looks like it's more of an equipment item and not something that's just standard and needs a cooldown time to use. Next, we get to see the fusion coils in action, and honestly, being able to throw them is kind of badass if you ask me, and Chief just absolutely tomahawks this one into a shade turret, which looks like now uses some type of overshields with them. Then we get to see a new shotgun, which is the CQS-48 Bulldog, which means that we will still most likely see the original shotgun that we all know and love in the game. And then one thing we see right here is what appears to be a power slide ability, and I don't really feel too fondly of that being an ability in the game. It's something that's never been in Halo and just feels out of place to me completely. But moving forward, we get into some more combat, and may I add that the elites look really good in Infinite. I'm glad that we got back to the classic elite design. We go up a gravity lift, and we get into the gun battery to shut it down. But then the doors shut around us, and we get our first look at what appears to be a new banished character. And there we have it, our first look at Halo Infinite campaign gameplay. Like I said at the start, today I only wanted to look directly at the gameplay because I want to make a second video looking at the beginning and end cutscenes and talk about the relationship between the pilot and Chief, and also this new banished character that we have. But anyways, I wanted to thank you all so much for watching. Again, this is my first video, so let me know what I can do to improve. And also, let me know what your thoughts are on our first look at Halo Infinite. If you liked the video, think about subscribing, leave a like maybe, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.